So the active patients in a 12-month period was about 3,700 patients, in averaging about 50 new patients a month, which is actually pretty good considering the website hadn't been updated in 10 years. It's a lot of leads. We're getting good conversion on the work that needs to be done. We've had a lot of success we just run a really honest perspective.
Putting $13,000 into your marketing and then getting 192 out in net production, that's over a 6-month period. That's insane. Like that you guys are absolutely doing exactly what you set out to do. And it's like when you go out to just take care of people, that's your main focus, the byproduct of that is happy patients that want to trust you and want to give you the opportunity to do that treatment. Welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Gary Bird. I'm the founder of SMC National, where we help you create, convert, and close more new patients so you can grow the way that you want. And today, this is a very special episode. This is much different than what we normally do. I have one of our clients, Alex, who came on to share some of the results that they've been having. And Alex is the co-owner of a practice called Blue Ridge Dentistry in a rural market that needed a ton of new patients. And his wife was the dentist, but Alex is very unique. He's also the managing director at Tusk Partners. So he understands business. He understands what's needed. So he shares his journey of buying a practice and growing and getting to some unbelievable numbers that we're going to share with you here soon. All right, we are live, and I'm excited about this one because my friend Alex here, several years ago, I don't remember how many years ago exactly, Alex reached out to me via text because he works at a vendor partner that we work with. And he said, hey, I have a practice that I'm getting ready to buy with my wife. His wife's a dentist, and we need some help with it. And there was a lot of challenges about the particular market and the location, the specific location. And we've had some amazing success. So I asked Alex to come on and kind of share his journey and share how they've been able to be so successful. And then also at the same time, share some of the things that were struggles or hard for them so that everybody can learn from it. So Alex, thanks so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Gary. It's been a journey. So yeah, I think it's been about roughly 3 years, effectively in a month or two. It's been quite a journey. When I first started out with Tusk, we did a lot of consulting work with clients. Now we're exclusively M&A and have been for a couple of years now. But really enjoyed seeing some of the successes you had for some of our clients. You were someone we often went to when we had a small group who was looking to scale and trying to get the volume they needed to support their fixed costs. And your team kind of wrote time and time again, came through and delivered for them. So needless to say, when my wife and I had found the right practice for us, you were effectively the first person I called.
Yeah, I think when you reached out, you were like, hey, I'm just a single location. Can you still help me? And I'm like, do you want to grow? And you were like, absolutely, we want to grow. And I'm like, okay, we're perfect then. We'll figure this out. But it wasn't without challenges. So tell me a little bit about the market. I know, number one, it was super rural. So it's like drawing from a lot of, and kind of like the traffic flow is weird, the way people are commuting in and out.
You pulled a presentation for me and it was like, yeah, you got a pretty interesting situation here. The population you're drawing from is like 30 minutes from your practice, and which is true. It was kind of a daunting task to take in, something kind of out of the norm. I think a part of me wanted to kind of do it the safe way, which is find a PPO practice in a well-populated area with, the right number of patients per dentist. Yep. But I also really wanted to live kind of in the Blue Ridge Mountains where it's gorgeous, where we want to raise kids. So it's kind of a battle of two worlds, one financial security and the other kind of where the heart lies.
Hey, got an important announcement for you. We are hosting the second annual Full Arch Advantage event where you learn to create, convert, and close more full arches so your office can grow the way that you want. This is going to be in partnership with BioHorizons, and this is our second year, but the important part is it's going to be virtual, so you don't have to fly out, buy hotels, travel with your team. You can just register and block off the days and watch virtually. And right now we have early bird pricing. It's never going to be cheaper than right now. I don't even have a discount code because it's so cheap. It's only $199 right now to register. And it's for your team. It's for your dentists. It's for your treatment coordinators, your dental assistants, and your marketing managers. And you're going to learn a ton of stuff to grow. Last year's event had a 74 NPS score, which is amazing. And the feedback was really, really good. So if you're looking at leveling up, we have a ton of new content, a ton of new automations and things that you can add to your practice to really grow, and executing on the phones to make sure that you can grow the way that you want. So don't miss this. Go to Full Arch Advantage right now and sign up. This price will not be around for long.
Yeah. And right now you're averaging, you said about 140 new patients a month now, which is amazing for that market. Like that's really, really good.
So the practice, when we acquired it, I want to say, so the active patients in a 12-month period was about 3,700 patients. And it averaging about 50 new patients a month, which is actually pretty good, considering the website hadn't been updated in 10 years. And there were some unique challenges in the acquisition, and I knew right away that we wanted to brand it a bit better. It felt a little antiquated, which is fine because the practice was established 40 years ago. And then we wanted to preserve the website's, history and web search rankings, but then also refresh it and just completely overhaul it, which your team did flawlessly. And one thing I'll say, Gary, and I sent you a text message about this too. Someone on your team helped develop the perfect logo for our website.
I remember that. Yeah,
couldn't be happier with your team, and it was white glove. It was iterative. I remember we were on vacation in Iceland, and doing these texts back and forth, and they would like send us some stuff, and we would, and effectively your team was able to pull from us the emotions and what is unique and cool about the area, and make it dental related and put it in the logo. It was.
I remember that.
Really,
I remember how excited you. I remember how excited you were about that and how good that made you feel. And that's everything, right? Like, I love that. But even more important than that is the results, right? Because if you have a great logo, but you can't feed your doctors with new patients, you have a problem. And again, it wasn't like we went into this like, dude, this is going to be a slam dunk. It was like, this is going to be really, really tricky.
Yeah.
And what's
you
cool
were real
about,
with me. You didn't give me the...
you don't have that. You're not in like in the middle of like Raleigh.
You gave me a taste of reality for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But you guys have done great. So let's just talk through the numbers really quickly. So the last 6 months of 2023, I just pulled those numbers so we could see like accurate ROI and all those kind of things. You guys spent $13,000. So a couple $1,000 a month, not huge a marketing budget, but understandably why, because of the nature of the market. And your ROI during that period was $1,543. So that means every time you are putting in $1, I think I'm going to get this right, you are getting $1,500 back. Am I getting that right?
I think maybe
150. 150.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. $150. Okay. Yes. Okay. That would have been crazy if 100 in or every dollar in 1,500. Yes. $150. So every time you're putting $1 into marketing, you're getting $150
actually,
back.
It's actually $15 now that I'm doing the math in my head, because 190 over 13,000. Regardless, a huge return.
I'm not used to seeing ROIs at this number. I'm used to like 400 to 1, 500 to 1. So okay, so every time you're putting in $1, okay, yes. So every time you're putting in $1, you're getting that back 15 times.
Yeah.
So, okay, which is amazing, right? That's not normal for a GP practice, which means you guys are doing an amazing job taking care of your patients. And before we kind of jump into the funnel of how we've been able to do this, talk through like how are you, every time you put $1 into marketing, you're getting 15 back from your patients. How are you able to do that? Because that's like full arch numbers, right? Like but you're not doing full arch, you're doing a lot of GP, right?
It's a lot of leads. We're getting good conversion on the work that needs to be done. We've had a lot of success with just honestly, like we just run a really honest perspective. And if work can wait, we tell them work can wait. If work needs to be done, we're honest and we say work needs to be done. We've really leveraged technology to communicate that, right? So we use an iTero to give them actual visual perspective of their mouth, which they enjoy. We do the intraoral cameras to show them problem-specific areas. And then, really what Lisbeth, my wife, the dentist, the expert, her approach is take as much time as you need to explain, right? Like explain it as if you're explaining it to a relative. And over time, it has garnered a lot of goodwill, I think, inherently within the practice. And one thing that we were a little nervous about, it's one of the reasons we went with a softer budget, is because we didn't want to overwhelm the team, right? It's a fee-for-service practice. The patients matter. We don't want to just create churn. And the existing staff is really sensitive to that. And so what the conversation we had with the staff was, understand we take pride in the work we do, and we want to have a really white glove approach and give patients as much time as they need. And we don't want to be just, a patient mill and get through as many patients as possible. But there's another flip side of that perspective that we need to look out for our patients, is because if this practice needs a certain amount of revenue dollars to pay the bills, and it's divided by a smaller number of patients, then we are intrinsically putting pressure on ourselves to produce a certain amount of money per patient, and that's not good.
Yeah.
And so if we get more patients in the bottom of that component, the amount of revenue needed per patient becomes very low. And then that's how we can create honest dentistry. And so that was just something, it took us a year to do it, but it's something that took time to impart on the staff of like, this is why we're going to see more patients. And it's not because we don't care about our patients. It's because, my wife doesn't ever want to feel pressure that she has to produce a crown. Like we don't, that's just not ethical. So it's been kind of a balance of establishing a nice white glove experience for the patients and giving them the time they need, but then also for their own well-being, creating an environment where there's no pressure to produce or anything like that.
That's so awesome. Yeah. And you guys, just to break down these numbers so people understand, putting $13,000 into your marketing and then getting 192 out in net production, that's over a 6-month period. That's insane. Like that you guys are absolutely doing exactly what you set out to do. And it's like when you go out to just take care of people, that's your main focus, the byproduct of that is happy patients that want to trust you and want to give you the opportunity to do that treatment. And you guys have done an amazing job of that. Now, you guys have also gotten a lot of leads. So I just want to call this out. Your numbers are amazing. That's why I'm talking to you, because hopefully someone else can glean something from it. But I will say, disclaimer, don't expect to get these numbers, right? These are not like everyday numbers that we're seeing here. In fact, just the opposite. But it's been a really cool story. So right now you're getting leads at around $11, $12 cost per lead. Now, not every lead is qualified, right? You guys don't take every kind of patient. So one of the things that we like to do, and I just want to shout this out. We use Trackable, who is amazing because they integrate with the PMS. So we can actually see all this information, which is crucial. So if you don't know about Trackable, trackable.io, it's the first dental CRM that integrates with the PMS. So it actually gives you a view like a real business that you can actually see the cycle. So you see this funnel here. So you have 1,100, almost 1,200 leads, but then 835 qualified leads that you're getting from your marketing. That's not counting all of your patient referrals, doctor referrals, all those kind of things. So kind of walk me through, how have you been able to handle that kind of influx of leads, especially as a smaller practice? Because that's going to break down to be, even if you go 1,100, 1,200 of leads, that's a lot. That's 200, almost 200 per month. How is your team sorting through those?
So, it's a larger practice. So it's 12 operators. We have 3 full-time doctors. And, one thing we did and when we first joined, the front desk is an office manager and 2 front desk folks. And the 2 front desk employees were just very close, and they just didn't really want to add a third body to the relationship. I also think it made them feel like it gave them some sort of job security, right? And that it makes you more valuable if you're one of 2 than if you're one of 3. But ultimately, it took us about a year to do it, but we were able to add a head at the front desk. And that was part of the conversation, right? Of, look, we're trying to get more people in here. We're not trying to overwork our employees. Like, we'd like to add another head. We need to add space at the front desk. And we had some trouble finding the right front desk person at first, but then ultimately we had this assistant in the back who just wasn't as liked dentistry and enjoyed the product, but wasn't as enthusiastic about the day-to-day dental assisting work, and just had an honest conversation with her. It's just like, doesn't seem like you enjoy your job very much. We love you as a person. Are you open to this other idea of like maybe being in the front and seeing the patients that way? And she's just really thrived in that role.
Wow.
She
good job on that.
Ownership.
A lot of people would have lost that employee or team member, right? And you guys flipped it into a
we didn't want to
positive.
be black and white and say, you're not cutting the mustard. That we're going to find someone better. Really, it was a win-win. And so we were able to find the right person to be an assistant. And then she became, she's effectively the lead at our front, which is really cool. And so her coming on really beefed up our ability to handle call volume. And honestly, the existing team was already handling a large call volume, but adding that third head just enabled us to handle that call volume along with the new leads.
Awesome. Yeah. So she's effectively scheduling appointments at about $24 cost per appointment, which again, amazing. Don't reach out to me and call me and say, Gary, I want the $24 cost per appointment deal. Cause I would never promise those numbers to anybody. But right now, and Alex, you might know this number as well, just because of all the practices you work with. We're seeing nationwide on average, not of our clients, but just when we're talking to other practices and looking at other numbers, cost to acquire a customer is right around for GP offices in that $300 to $400 range, $350, somewhere in there. Is that kind of what you're seeing as well?
That's whereabouts what I see. I kind of see both ends of the spectrum. Actually just got off the call with the group that just maybe needs to control the advertising spend a little bit. Look, I'm a big believer in diminishing returns. And so, what the balance I was able to find, I think with you guys, you assigned me a client manager who, effectively was my one point of contact for anything I needed. And it enabled me to voice concerns or recommendations, and all my concerns or recommendations were taken seriously. And over the last 3 years, we probably revisited the website 2 or 3 times. We revisited some of the advertising 2 or 3 times just to kind of get the wording right and get the image right. And it's just been white glove the whole time. And after every single one of those engagements, we saw meaningful upticks. And so
That's
instead
awesome.
of just totally opening the spend on advertising, was honestly like
dialing it in.
I wanted to focus more on I don't want to say getting the most out of your team, but you put big resources at my disposal, and it's yielded huge results. Yeah, honestly, life-changing results for my wife and I.
That's so awesome.
I mentioned when we acquired the practice, they had like 3,500 active patients seen within a 12-month period. And I think the patient count right now in terms of active patients is like 5,600. So effectively growing the practice 60% or so, 50%. And that's just created a level of comfort, for us as owners, for the staff, and honestly for the patients. That's been, I think we could have been successful without you guys. I don't think we would have been nearly as successful in nearly as fast without you guys. Like you guys just took it. I feel like you took a 10-year process and you made it 3 years for us.
That's so awesome.
Which is
That's
just,
exciting.
you can't really put a price on that. But no, it's been just a pleasure working with one. You're always accessible. You run an incredible business, servicing a huge portion of the country, and you always take the time out of your day to text a single practice guy. I love what you're doing, Alex.
About
you, and
I appreciate that. And really, I love working with you, Alex, because to be frank with you, you're not a dentist. You are an absolute business person, like 100%. You are not looking at the practice from the inside out, which I understand why dentists do that, right? And I'm sure your wife does the same. She might get 3 or 4 bad patients in a day and go, "Oh, what are we doing?" You know what I mean? And all dentists are that way. Every single one of them. And I get why, because they're in the weeds, they're in the fire, they're in the firing line. But you've always done a really good job of like if I was going to give advice to anybody out here that's a dentist, marry an Alex, because Alex has all the business side down. So when we're having conversations, we're not having emotional conversations. We're having data analytics breakdown of like, look, this is what we're able to do, or this is what we're not able to do, and here's why. And when you remove the emotion from your marketing, which is hard to do because everybody approaches marketing with emotion rather than data. But right now, I mean, you guys are proving it. Like you've been able to grow this practice in a hard market. It's rural. So there's like a lot of weird dynamics around that. You guys have figured it out. And then the marketing's clicking because you guys are figuring it out operationally. To be frank with you, if your operations weren't sound, this would fail. And you would fail with any marketing. Never works on broken operations in any business. So you've done an excellent job of bringing in all of your years of experience with Tusk and then laying it on top of your dental practice, which is a big testament of what you guys do at Tusk for people out there as well.
I mean, when I was texting you early on, going in my brain was this emotional side and then this logic side. I mentioned to you, this logic side was saying maybe go into a larger area with more not so rural. What was challenging for us was, or really for me, I should say, was when you're taking out this loan that's 5x your assets and you're just kind of throwing it all in black, so to say. It's easy to get emotional and say, like, am I risking too much? Should I be doing this? But then, like, on the logic side, it was like, you've seen it, you've done it, believe in yourself and everything will work out, or really believe in your wife's handwork and everything should work out. And thankfully it did. And one other stat I'd like to throw out there in terms of just working with you guys and getting the right people in our doors. We had this review site that was legacy in the practice that had like 5,000 reviews on it that wouldn't transfer to Google.
Yeah,
so
I remember.
All our patients had already left reviews on a non-Google platform, and we weren't going to approach them and ask them to place Google reviews. So we had to rely on new patients for that. And so when we acquired the practice at 25 Google reviews, and right now, 3 years later, it's sitting at 920.
That's insane for your market. That's absolutely insane.
Which is pretty cool.
Hey, if you want, I always tell everybody, everybody goes, well, what's the easy thing? What's the low hanging fruit? Do I have to come work with you, change my website, change this, change that? If you just get Google reviews, it literally fixes so many things.
It certainly helps, but it certainly wouldn't replace the work that SMC's got.
It doesn't. It doesn't replace anything. It doesn't replace good treatment. It doesn't. It's like a steroid, right? It's like if you just take steroids and you don't work out, you're just going to be sick, right?
Well, I was able to call you and say, hey, we really want to focus on implants. We bought a cone beam. We want to focus a lot more on that. And 3-4 months later, the amount of implants we were placing went up 4 times.
That's crazy.
Because you guys started gearing
single implants, right? Yep. That's awesome. Awesome. Well, Alex, amazing job. You guys are crushing it. Thank you for sharing your story with other people.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you don't know Alex, check him out. And I'll leave your information below. Just a quick shout out for Tusk. If someone wants to reach out and learn more about Tusk and what they're doing, what's the best way to connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. You can visit our website, tuskpracticesales.com. Alternatively, you can shoot me an email, alex@tuskpracticesales.com. But yeah, we'd be happy to help anyone in your circles entertain what the market looks like for their practice.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Gary. Appreciate it. Good seeing you.
Peace.